Hello BookTube, it's Louise the Big Head Bookworm. How are you? It's the 30th of March, we've had Easter, we've eaten chocolate, we've been on Easter egg hunts. We are firmly in the middle of the Easter holidays, which is a thoroughly fabulous place to be. And I am here with the books that I have bought in the last half of March. I wonder whether you might like any of them. Let's have a look. The first one I got is, let's see if I can do this without it being too glary. Here we are, Gary Zukav, The Seat of the Soul. Now, it's a hard one to describe this. It's modern spirituality, I would say. I wouldn't even say esoterica particularly, because it's not actually, I don't know whether it refers to a godlike figure, but it's not actually devotional towards a godlike figure, I think, but it is a quite a large book all about the soul and a new way of viewing the soul, with a workbook which will give you spiritual exercises. But it's I've heard so much about it. I'm sure you have as well. Gary Zukav, I suppose he's a philosopher, he's been a scientist as well, he's been in the army as well. He came to fame big time in the early 90s because he was on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and it made kind of television history because they were sat on the, prime time television talking about what the soul is, not in direct comparison to what God is and religious practices. So it was different because it was a spirituality discussion rather than a religious discussion. So I've never read any Gary Zukav, and I've got so many other spiritual texts, and I thought I've got to read this. I saw it on a list of all spiritual books that you should have beside your bed, and I thought I haven't got that one, and I'm really interested in reading that. So I thought I'd give that a go. I had to track down this particular edition. This is the 25th anniversary edition with the study guide, and this is the one that I've always seen recommended, or I've seen recommended in the last couple of years. Actually, I couldn't get it. It's in the one that they would normally send you, but I managed to track it down, and I've got it. Hurrah! So that's the first one. The next book I got is the third book in out of a 4-book series, and that is Cress by Marissa Meyer. It's the third book in the Lunar Chronicles, and that's quite glary. Is that better? Slightly better. Both a bit glary, but there we are. It's a Cress. This is a YA fairy tale retelling. This is Rapunzel. The first one was Cinder, which is Cinderella. The second one, can you see it's right at the bottom there? Cinder, which is Cinderella. Scarlet, which is Little Red Riding Hood. It's science fiction, well, science fiction, fantasy, YA. I think it's more than just a fairy tale retelling. It's always told us it's a fairy tale retelling. But this is the third one in the series, so I can't say too much about it, but I think they're really good. They're really fun, they're quick reads, they're enjoyable, they're silly, they're fairy tale retellings, and there is a dark side, but not a, I would say, yeah, I really enjoy them. They're worth having a go. So yeah, that's what I got. Then I went to London. Oh, I had a lovely little evening, which I'll talk about when I do my end of March wrap up, because that's one of the books that I've finished. But I went to see the worldwide lecturer and, well, spiritual teacher, and somebody I am absolutely in love with. She's amazing. Her name's Marianne Williamson, and I went to see her give a lecture and discussion in London, and it was so powerful, and I've been reading one of her books, which I'll talk about in my wrap-up. But I was in London on my own, so I went to 2 bookshops. The first bookshop was not really a bookshop, but I've never been in. I went to King's Cross, and I've never been in the Harry Potter shops, because whenever I've been going to King's Cross, I've been hurtling towards getting my train, or we've been running off to go somewhere, and I've never had time just to browse and look through it. And I went and I picked up, oh, so fabulous, so much stuff that you it is just stuff that you want, but there's some lovely stuff in there, really lovely stuff. And I picked this up. This is the only thing that I bought there. For some reason I never bought it. There are of course 3 little editions that you can get, and they are, let me find the first the other ones, does it say? Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which of course is being made into a film, Quidditch Through the Ages, and The Tales of Beedle the Bard. So I was going to get one of them. They're $4.99, and I thought I'd get this one, Quidditch Through the Ages, by J.K. Rowling, and it's a really thin little book, and yes, so I bought that, which I was so pleased with, and it was just such a lovely experience to go into the bookshop, have a browse, and just choose one of these little books. There was some really lovely, I'd not seen the companion books as well, which I might have a look at and maybe speak to somebody for my birthday. Or maybe later in the year, Father Christmas might help me out with those, because they're big glossy hardbacks and they're not something that you can really kind of, well, don't feel like I could buy them myself, but they look fascinating. So, and then I went to Scoob Books. Now Scuba Books is of course books backwards, and it is a big, it's a second-hand bookshop that's well known in London, and it's transferred from a bigger place to a smaller place, and it's downstairs in the basement, so you come in and you have to go downstairs straight away, and you're there amidst the pipes, and it's quite claustrophobic, though it is actually they've packed an awful lot of books in a very small space, and I did find it quite claustrophobic. Not that I get claustrophobic, but the two of you couldn't be in the same aisle, and it's full of second-hand books. They've just got thousands and thousands and thousands of them. They're not all second-hand books, so obviously they buy remainders, in which case they tend to be half price. So you still they're just all bargain books, basically. But it's popular, of course, as to what they've got. They do have a website, which is Scoob Books. So it's well worth going. If you're in London and you're in the Bloomsbury area, which is where I was, I can really recommend it. So that's where I went. And it took me a while to get my eye in. I must admit, I got myself slightly overwhelmed with all the books. And trying to spot things, and I kept seeing stuff that I wanted. I kept seeing books that I fancied, but they weren't stuff that I had actually put on a wish list or that I knew I was actually wanting to read. And before I went in, I said to myself, it has to be a book that I want to buy. I'm knocking the table, sorry. A book that I want to buy that is already on a wish list, or it's not just a fancy, because I'd already bought a fancy book in the Quidditch, so I thought it's got to be something that I want. So I gave myself this little rule, and I did well. Eventually, after about 15-20 minutes, I saw this, which is Half Bad by Sally Green, which is the first of a trilogy. This was her first book, and it's the first of a trilogy, and I believe I think it's fantasy. I'm not sure, fantasy or YA. From what I can remember, it's about witches, and you're either good or you're bad. And a witch and a warlock have got together. One was good, one was bad. And so whoever is half bad is what I can remember of that was a plot, because this has been on my wish list since I heard about it about a year ago. So I can't really remember, and I'm deliberately not looking it up because I really fancy reading it. It's a nice size, and it sounds like a really good one. And I was so pleased. This is obviously a remainder copy because looks brand new, and I got that for half price. So I was really pleased. And I was going to the till thinking, well, I dropped it on the floor. I'm going to the till thinking, well, that's it. I shall just count myself lucky and go. And I spotted this. And I'm so chuffed with this, which you can't actually see because I'm glary. Oh, there we are. That's better. The Shepherd's Life, A Tale of the Lake District by James Rebanks, I'm going to say. And it says the surprise hit of the year. And this is a memoir by a shepherd. Obviously, The Shepherd's Life, and I follow him on Twitter, which is where I first heard about it, and then since then I've seen it everywhere. It was highlighted in Waterstones in Cambridge as a big display of it, and I remember thinking, oh yes, I'll get that, but it is £9 brand new, and it was one of those, well, it's not, it's one of those I will get at some point. When I first saw it, it was in hardback, and I was like, well, I'm not going to get it in hardback, but I will get it because it is something that I'm really interested in. I know the Lake District very well, and I absolutely adore the Lake District, which is in the north of England, and it apparently is just such a lovely book, and I thought I'd really go for it. And then when I saw it in Scoob, I was so chuffed. So happy days as far as I was concerned when I saw these two. So yeah, so those are my my 3 books from my London visit. And then the last book that I have, I got today, and I have been holding off doing a book haul for the end of March because I was waiting for this book because I want to talk about this one. And it is Whispers from the Earth by Taz Thornton. And I am very blessed because I know Taz. I know Taz. She is somebody I am very blessed to say that she is actually my spiritual teacher, and is somebody that I study with, and I am part of a circle that she leads, and it is phenomenal. So it is Whispers from the Earth by Taz Thornton. It's teaching stories from the ancestors, beautifully woven for today's spiritual seekers. So this goes very much alongside with the other books that I have read, or the other books that I do read. So it's about spiritual exploration. It's but this is different because it's about teachings from the ancestors, and these are stories. It's a collection of stories that have either been passed down to Taz, or they've been, I'm not sure channeled is the right word, but they've come through Taz, or fellow students or fellow people that she knows that have passed the stories on to her. And these are, I consider, stories from this land, which is beautiful. And I was really honoured that I read a couple of them. I did read some of them before they were actually published. And then I stopped. And I read most of them and then I stopped because I just thought I need to absorb it all, because they're powerful. They're powerful, modern, ancient fables. Because they're modern, because they're in this, they're written in today's language and today's stories. But they're ancient because they're from the spirits, I believe. And I'm really pleased I got the book. So it was published last Friday, but I only received my copy today, which I was a bit cross about. But yes, here it is. So Whispers from the Earth by Taz Thornton. So as you can imagine, I'll be reading that today. So yes, I'm really pleased. What a lovely book haul. What a lovely selection of books. So I've got a fairy tale, as in the modern retelling of Rapunzel. I have these wonderful stories, wonderful, powerful stories, which I should be reading. Yeah, I've got a bit of everything, really. So I'm doing really well. So not too much for the end of this month. I have got some books on the way, as I say. Have I said that? I don't know. Anyway, I've got some books on the way, but they haven't arrived yet. So I'll put those in next month. So that's what I've got. That's what I'm looking forward to reading. All of those look really good to me. Seat of the Soul isn't something that I'm going to launch into straight away. It's going to take me some time to get through that. But yeah, I'm considering doing a booktube about some of the spiritual books that I read, because I read a lot and I'm aware that I keep showing some and I keep saying a few things. So I might actually do a separate video focusing on some of the religious texts that I've read recently and some of the spiritual guides, explorations that I'm reading at the moment. So yes, if that's something that you might like, I might do that. Yes, well, tell me how your Easter's been. I hope it's been good. I hope you got an Easter egg, or if you're not into Easter eggs, you got an Easter biscuit or Easter cake, Easter lasagna. I don't know. I'm babbling. All right, lovely to see you. See you again. Bye-bye.